Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Mystic Syndicate and the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition homebrew of the Ambassadors to the Barbarian Kings. I'm your Dungeon Master, Brian Anderson, and as always, my intrepid band of adventurers. Take it away, folks.
I am Shane playing Apton, the Mousefolk Cleric.
I'm Ricky, playing Armos, the sorcerer.
I'm Christy, playing Athena the fighter.
All right, yes. Would anyone like to volunteer to give our recap of last week's adventures?
Christy hasn't done one in a while.
It got fucked up.
She did the most damage.
Shit got fucked up. Shit got fucked up, bruh.
Okay. Well,
We arrived in Chindle. We went to bed. And in the middle of the night, I and Athena were awoken. We ended up going out into a garden area. Athena woke up Armos, and we had a battle between 3 gargoyles and a giant octopus creature thing.
That's about it. Yeah, that sounds like that's
That fight took a while.
yeah. Oh yeah, that was a 2 hour, almost a complete 2 hour battle. That
it was a slam dunk.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So but everybody was able to make it out alive, and which was good. Because I think there was a couple of times there y'all were looking at it going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How many more spell slots do I have? Not enough.
Me and him both.
Not enough. Well, actually, just enough. Just enough.
Right.
Me and him both were like, oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, I'm going to swing my sword.
I'm a wolf.
That's right. Yeah, you got a lot of bites in there. Yeah, that is true. All right. Yeah, so that's...
Couldn't hit you with your sword, but you can bite it.
Mm-hmm. She was hungry.
Get a hit in there somewhere.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, before we get started, we'd like to, of course, thank Anna B. Meyer for our beautiful maps that we are using here on our stream. If you are interested in Anna's work, you may find her over at annabmeyer.com. Also, check out her Patreon. She's posting new things and exciting new projects over there all the time. And she is also appearing on a few different Twitch streams talking about her projects. So make sure to check Anna out. Also, we'd like to thank all those folks in chat who keep us on our toes to make sure that our sound is good and our video is passable. We are trying something new today. We have switched from Skype over to Discord. So we're hoping that this will be somewhat helpful. If it does, then we'll continue with it. If it turns into be a royal pain in our backsides, then we will look for alternatives, of course. All right. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Everybody all right? Good. Okay, that's good. Okay, so perfect. All right, so we're going to pick up exactly right where we left off as you all walked onto the porch of the manor house, heading back into the building. You said it.
Oh, that's right. You gave us 50 platinum from that last battle.
I did. I did indeed. Now, of course, it's still very early in the morning. You're probably looking at about 3 o'clock. And as I had mentioned last week, as you were walking in, standing on the front porch, actually on the railing of the porch, was Moon Talon. That's Lunara's owl.
Yes.
So he was keeping an eye on you all as you approached the house and entered. So you all returned to your rooms, a little battle weary, but you were at least able to vanquish your foes. You head back to bed. It's for for Athena, it's a restful sleep. You were pretty. You were in there swinging and getting your workout. So yours
Is it long rest?
yeah. This will be considered a long rest because you all kind of need it.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, yeah. That was a little bit of a fight. Yes, it's a restful rest of the evening for Athena. For the rest of you, the other two fellas, Apton and Armos, it takes you a little while to get to sleep. You sit there kind of, you lay there in bed staring at the ceiling, kind of wondering why. What was this all about? This didn't really make a lot of sense. But you were able to kind of put two and two together a little bit and realize that the gems were able to alert you to the fact of this danger.
And now they're dust.
No, they're not. The weapons that were created from these gems were not destroyed. It was only the bag of gems that had been turned to powder when the I think it was the shatter spell was used.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's okay. That happens. It's not a big deal. So I believe, if I remember right, I think we have two daggers. Apton has one.
I have a dagger.
And Athena has one. Right. Okay, very, very good. Okay, that's fine. But finally, you were able to wrestle sleep from the night and fall back into a restful slumber. When you're awoke with a rap on your door. And the rap on the door is quickly... the door opens and servants come in and they have clothing for you, and they have also prepared a drink for you, something so you can wash your mouth out and get ready for the day. Of course, breakfast is served in the dining hall below on the first level.
Cool.
So you find that the clothing that they have laid out for you is it definitely fits. It fits well, but it's also very formal. So you're thinking that Alistar has already set up the meeting with you and the king. Probably you're going to be going before the entire court of Furiondi.
Well, no pressure.
No pressure. Exactly.
I need to make sure that the cask of wine I brought comes with us for the introduction, to offer it as a gift.
Of course, that's good. Yeah, everything that you have that you were supposed to bring with you, that you left Greyhawk with, is of course here. So you it's not like anything got lost or anything of that nature. So that's really good.
Just a few people.
You did lose some people along the way, but you did not lose any of the artifacts or items that you were supposed to bring to Chendal. So that's good.
The important stuff survived.
That's right. Yes, all those no-name NPCs fell to the wayside, and it's very
the suspicious ones.
Yeah. The ones that took a little umbrage to Apton's nonchalant way of just getting rid of problems.
They were asking questions.
That's right. Too many questions.
Questions, bro.
Too many questions. So,
too many questions with only one answer. Death.
Take my strong hand. Oh.
So what ends up happening is you rise. You are the servants are actually there to help you dress. So
wow.
And it's very very Downton Abbey.
I'm gonna do my makeup.
You gonna do your makeup?
Extra pretty. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Alrighty, so yeah, you do that, and it only takes probably about 15 to 20 minutes to get all of that taken care of. Some of you have never really worn real formal clothing, and might actually be the first time that many of you have been before a regent. Probably the person of most station that you may have ever actually met was Alistar, who, yeah. So there you kind of go. All right. So yeah, once you get done dressing, you head down to the dining hall. You're led there by a servant. Most likely either a chambermaid or a footman. Make sure that you make it to the correct room because you're still kind of unsure of where everything is here in the Manclaw Manor. So you all enter about the same time. Some of you meeting up in the hallway, and you see a very long table. Alistar is already there. His wife. The children are there as well. You do see some other folks who you have not met yet. And one of them, of course, is Stephen, the Alistar's adjutant. Remember, he was the fellow who was to be married to Helenta. Remember him. Yeah. So everybody's sitting there. And I'd like for you all, as you're set down and you're looking around and putting food on your plate and talking a little bit with people, I'd like for you to make a perception check. All three of you.
Nope. Starting it off low.
But Apton, though, is very, very perceptive this morning. And you look over to Zathia, and you're looking at her, and it looks like she has, maybe she didn't sleep well, she just has bags under her eyes. There's something about her that's kind of off. It's not that she's looks pale, but she just looks more frail than usual.
I will make my way over to her and ask her how she's doing.
She says, "Well, I slept very well. Thank you very much for asking, Apton. But I just feel so weak. Like maybe I'm coming down with something."
That is not good. We should definitely see about getting you checked out.
So as you're sitting there piling, you get done chatting with her, and you head back to your seat. In walks Lunara. And Lunara comes over and quickly takes a seat next to Armos. And make another perception check, you three. Of course,
I like perceiving. The children, they could be dying. I don't perceive that. A woman walks in the room.
Okay. Well, of course. Well, interesting that, of course, Armos would be extremely interested in Lunara. So, yeah.
Can't make this thing up.
Yeah. So you look, as she walks in, you kind of give her a once-over, as you are apt to do sometimes.
Always.
Always. And you notice something about the hem of her dress.
Ooh.
Because she's not wearing the finery that you all are wearing. She's actually wearing her regular clothing. So you're thinking she's not going to be actually seeing the king.
Oh.
But what you do notice about the hem of her dress is that it's damp and it looks to have some mud on it.
That's not good.
Interesting.
Well, I'll say good morning to her and ask how she's doing.
Well, as you are chatting with her, you can see that she's tired, but she's not not in the same weakened state as Zathia. She seems she's energetic, but you can see she's just every once in a while she'll throw out a yawn,
Right.
denoting that she didn't sleep well. But
Well, I'll ask her. Did you go on a little adventure last night? And I'll point to the mud that's on her clothing.
she quickly looks at you, looks down at the hem of her dress, and looks back up. And she casts message. And in your mind, you hear, "We need to talk."
I'll reply back to her with message, and I'll say, yeah, well, I'm here for a while. So what's going on?
Okay, so she says, "Not here. Right after breakfast. I'll meet you at your room."
Okay, then I'll see you there.
Okay. So she just gives you a smile and she starts heaping food on her plate. You all spend the morning talking amongst each other, and Alistair says, "Well, today is a very, very important day, of course. I'm going to escort you to the castle so you can meet with the king in the court today. I know that you have a lot of items that you or artifacts that you brought with you that need to be transferred. I'll make sure that the Teamsters have that. We are going to actually be arriving in my personal coach. We're not riding in a cart." He just gives you kind of a smile. And he said, "So yes. After that, we're going to come back here because I have something I need to discuss with you three." And actually, he looks up and looks at Lunara and he says, "Actually, four of you." And you can see that it's not. He's not saying it in a way that you feel that it's trouble or a problem. He actually has kind of a faint smile on his face, so you're thinking it might be a good thing. Yeah.
I'll look over at Lunara and smile a bit.
She returns it, but most likely, as you look over at her, as she smiles, you can see sort of bits of biscuit and jelly sort of running out the side of her mouth, and she looks a little undignified. But you're more taken with her large green eyes that seem to search you, and as she grabs another muffin from the plate, and she eats like she's eating. She hasn't eaten in days, but yeah. So
Okay.
all right. Is there anything you all needed to ask Alistar or his wife, or any other things you wanted to touch on while you were here at breakfast?
I wanted to talk to Lunestra.
Lunara. Lunestra.
Lunar.
Lunar with an A at
Names,
the
they're
end.
not my thing. Not my
Moon.
thing. They're not my
Moon.
thing.
Isn't
Lunar.
Lunestra like some sort of like medication?
I think it's a drug.
I think it's a drug. That was
Kid-friendly stream.
that was the thing we were talking about with another group that I was playing with, and they wanted to just rename all of their characters different drugs. I was like, great.
Lunesta is a sedative, also called a hypnotic.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So we're on the same sheet of music here. A hypnotic. God. Alrighty. So there we go. Alrighty. So yeah,
I wanted to
what are you
ask
gonna ask
her.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any chance that there would be side effects of resurrecting the young miss over here? Because she seems to be a bit knackered. Or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, you're right. No.
Okay.
Lunara looks up and she gives Zathia a really quick look. And she says, "No, no, Abden, there shouldn't be a problem with the resurrection at all. But you're right. She does look like there is some sort of problem." She says, "I'll talk with I'll talk with my patron to see if there's anything that I can glean from this. But no, it was a routine resurrection, so there shouldn't be an issue."
Can I go ahead and try rolling a what do we call it? Insight. See if she's holding back anything.
Okay, yeah, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
Whoo, baby, nat 20.
Nice. Okay, yeah. From what you can tell from her answer is that she is 100% truthful in her answer. She looks very concerned about the whole entire issue, and she keeps sort of looking over at Zathia every once in a while, just to try to take in more information from just looking. And she actually even asks a couple of questions of Zathia, like asking how she feels. Is she sleepy, or is she tired, or is she achy? Trying to determine if it is indeed some sort of infection or something like that. And of course, she does look over and says, "I don't think there was anything that the gems, or the gem that had pierced her, it did not seem poisonous in nature when I extracted it. Did you see anything? Like something dripping from it other than..."
I don't remember seeing anything, but if it does take a part of this, if it does capture the soul, is it possible that her soul would be caught in part of the gem?
No, because that was when we restored her soul. We actually stole it from the gem. There is nothing left, and that is why I believe it turned black.
Did we tell anybody? We didn't tell anybody about what happened last night, did we?
You haven't said a thing to anyone. Of course, the storm was so intense, they would not have been able to hear the sounds of battle outside.
I'm going to ask her if she would know anything about giant octopus monsters that can be linked to these gems.
She says, "No, I don't really believe that there's anything that would tie the two together. Again, that's really kind of way beyond anything that I've ever experienced in the past."
Well, last night out in the garden, there was an incident that occurred.
You immediately
But we'll talk about all this with you and Alistair.
You see the entire table gets extremely quiet as it's like you've dropped a big bomb on everything, and everyone is looking at you now. Alistair, Millicent, the children, Stephen, all of them are looking at you now, going, they're shocked. And then their gaze also turns to both Armos and Athena as well.
Alrighty. This is nice.
I'm gonna tell everybody. Don't worry, though. It was handled and no harm came.
I'll take over the conversation since everyone is listening now with my charismatic nature, and I want to tell the story in a heroic way. I want to roll performance, and I'm very scared.
Okay.
Because now it's a crowd of people.
Okay. So I'm going to let you do that, but I would like for all three of you to go ahead and roll perception real quick.
Oh, apparently I clicked it twice. 13.
Okay. Wow, Athena knocking it out of the park. And Upton. Okay, so actually, all three of you, when Apton puts this information out there, you look around, looking at all the people's faces who are there, and you realize that the register of shock that this has occurred does not appear on Lunara's face at all. It's like she actually knows what happened.
Well, her owl was there.
So, so Armos, will you? Let's see. Did you go ahead and roll your performance? Wow,
Check.
that's pretty good, man. I'm
So,
impressed.
I want to tell it in a heroic way.
Okay.
The story that Apton is telling is true, and we heard the noises at night, and our heroic efforts exterminated 4 enemy that were amongst us and silenced them in the middle of the night. That included 3 gargoyles and 1 giant octopus.
You hear just gasps of just excitement, but also of concern. Alistair looks up and looks at you, looks at you three, and says, "Why didn't you alert someone? We could have came out and helped."
The situation
We didn't have much
was handled, and we didn't have the time, as Apton says.
He says, "Well, as soon as we're done with breakfast, we should definitely go out there and inspect the location. It's unfortunately our gardener has been away for some time, and it has. I know that the garden and the fountain area has become overgrown. So, what was it that you fought?"
We don't know the name of the creature, but it had 4 tentacles and 1 giant eye. It came out of a purple portal, and we also fought 3 gargoyles.
Over to the side, Armos, you hear Lunara go, "Roper."
Roper.
She just kind of gives you a quick look with a raised eyebrow.
The name of the creature was a roper.
That is what you have been able to gather from her interruption.
It was a challenging fight, but we never lost the upper hand.
Alistair looks at you and says, "Wow, that's just incredible." And you said gargoyles were there as well.
Yes, 3 of them.
He looks over at Millicent and says, "I don't think we ever had gargoyles in the garden, did we?" And she is, you can look at Millicent and it looks as though she is, she's lost a lot of her color. She is absolutely scared. And she says, "No, dear, we've never had gargoyles in the garden or by the pond." And you can actually see that there are tears welling up in her eyes. She is that scared that something is that amiss that close to the house. So,
But you guys have nothing to be afraid of, for we handled it, and any other occurrences will be handled just as swiftly.
you see Lunara is joining in the conversation, and she says, "My lord, yes, while I was not present, I did have eyes sort of on the situation. And what they did say is definitely true. They are quite heroic, and they did an excellent job at defending your home. So Alistair, settles back down a little bit. You can see that Millicent is trying to compose herself, and her children run over to her and hug her. And as you notice that Zathia is much, much slower than Jorith. It's like she's having problems actually walking.
Does she appear wounded?
No, she doesn't seem to be wounded in any way, shape, or form. From what you can see, she's wearing just regular clothing. She is, of course, not going. The children and Millicent are not going with you to court, so they are going to be staying there at home. Mm-hmm. So, Alistair, and once everybody's wrapping up with breakfast, he says, "Well, we don't have much time to. We don't have any time to lose. We really should be getting on to Chindle Castle. Are you ready?"
Can we just have a few moments?
He says, "Well, yes, I suppose so. Don't dally, because we are on a time schedule, and the king was going to see you all as you were his first appearance today."
Yes. Okay.
Can I want to go ahead and try using detect magic and focus on the little girl to see if I can tell if there's any sort of magic spells that are on her or anything like that.
Zathia.
Zathia, thank you.
You can. Yeah. Let's see. So you're using your detect magic. You do not detect any magic, but you do have a feeling that there is a lingering dark presence kind of attached to her.
I wonder if they came back to get her soul that was stolen out of the crystal.
Maybe. So it's a 30-foot, I think, radius around him. Does he detect any other magic?
Well, other than your all's weapons, like your daggers and things like that, you're not going to be actually taking your like. Well, I mean, really, about the only person here who has like really good sized weapons would be Athena. And Athena, I believe, what sort of sword is it that you swing?
I don't think it's my sword that's magic. It's my dagger.
Yeah, the daggers are definitely magical, but I was also trying to get an idea of what you're carrying with you.
I have a great sword that I was using last night.
Okay,
I think it's a common great sword.
Most likely, you're not going to be carrying a great sword into court with you, but you could definitely take your dagger, and if there's other small items that would work well with what you're wearing, because you're wearing court finery.
Right. All right, well, I got 6 daggers then.
On you?
I'll find a place for them.
Girl is serious.
Actually, that brings me a question. So, for adding equipment to my person, which kind of dagger would that crystal one that I made be?
Okay, the crystal one that you made is exactly like the one that Apton is carrying. But yours is light in color.
Hold on.
So, Apton, if you don't mind sharing the stats of yours with her, you will be able to share that, if you don't mind.
I think it was just treated as a regular dagger, correct?
+1.
Dagger +1? Okay.
It's a +1 magical dagger.
Alright, then it's actually very similar to the ones that Ricky or Armos had given me.
Armos, the ones that he had given you were silvered masterworks. They are not magical, but they do have a +1 damage to them, but they're not considered magical. Just super damn sharp. Yeah, so don't mess around with
Mm,
them. Don't monkey with those things. Next thing you know.
yeah. So, um, I would recommend not bringing all your daggers to to the to the courthouse.
What you doing at the courthouse?
Well, remember.
Getting arrested for having 6 daggers on me.
Okay, so remember, court and courthouse are two different things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I just wanted to have fun with bringing daggers to a courthouse.
In fantasy world.
In fantasy world, I would never do such a thing in real life.
Yeah. So, I guess Armos would want a sort of recap of everything we need to do and address here. So I'll talk with Apton. So we got to get everything here together. You've got the wine as the gift, as our envoy gift. What else is on the agenda?
First off, I want to ask a question of you, Brian.
Okay.
So I'm assuming these clothes that we're wearing are not armored? So
No.
we would actually have no armor
Yeah.
class, except for our base armor class?
Right. Yeah, you would have your base armor class, which would be 10, unless you have natural armor. And I don't believe anyone here has natural armor unless I think Athena, if you actually if you shift, I think you end up getting some sort of natural armor. I think I'm still kind of kicking around the whole idea of how shifters work, but we can look at that later. Yeah, so yeah, you're going to actually be at a disadvantage when it comes to armor.
Yeah.
But
You said I shouldn't take mage armor. Yeah, so we don't have any armor. That's why we don't have any weapons either.
well, I mean, you still can carry weapons. I mean, you still have the ability to put a dagger on your belt, or put it in the top of your boot, or so there are ways, and I'm sure like Athena would know certain special ways to be able to put daggers in certain places so that, oh no, look, oh, I don't have any daggers, but she's got 6 daggers.
Yeah. Well, I also have a quarterstaff, so I don't know if I'm supposed to bring that or not.
Well, being that you are of an arcane nature, you're a sorcerer, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that would be kind of your weapon of choice. So yes, you do have the ability to take at least that.
Okay.
Cool.
Claim it as a walking stick.
That's right.
Basically.
Just a walking stick.
Apton will be.
Okay.
Good.
Oh no, I was just referring back to the that one scene in Lord of the Rings.
You wouldn't deny an old man his
His
walking
walking
stick,
stick.
would you?
Yeah.
I knew you were going there exactly. I knew what you were going to say too.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
I will have I'll have my dagger with me, the one that I had crafted. I'll have my belaying pin, and yeah, that'll be what I have on me, weapon-wise, besides my hands of magic.
Okay, that sounds good. All right.
So do you just want to be the spokesman for us when we go?
If you want, I have no problem communicating with the upper management.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where did we go?
Yeah, Alistar informs you that he will announce you to the king in the court, and then you will walk up. You will stop 25 feet away. It's actually, you will see it, there is a flagstone on the floor that marks where you should stop so that you do not proceed any further and go against protocol. So you will, yeah. He says, "Don't worry, we've got you. You won't mess up. You will be addressed by the king. Only speak once the king has asked you a question." Okay.
And address them by Your Highness?
Most likely, you will just refer to him as Your Majesty.
Majesty. Okay.
All right. Very good. So, you adjourn from the breakfast table, go and collect your things, and as you're going back through the hallway, Lunara sort of corrals you all into Armos's room.
Okay.
Okay, so as you all are standing there, she says, "Well, that was a really good piece of work you did this morning. Yes,
Thank you.
I was watching, and no, it wasn't just my owl. I was actually watching from the forest not too far away from you. As a matter of fact, there was a couple of times that I actually aided you, but I did not need you to know that I had done so. And I'm sorry. I wish I could have done more, and I wish I would have been there. But I was under strict orders from my patron to interfere as little as possible and watch to ascertain your intentions. And as I had thought, you all are very, very honorable and very capable, and I am very pleased to have fallen into your company. In the future, though, I will not be sitting by idly waiting. So I am sorry for that." And she says, "But you must be very, very careful. Apton, what you saw today in Zathia, I am unsure of why she is in such a state. While you're gone, I'm going to try to maybe check her room or maybe talk to her a little bit more to see what is going on. Thank you for alerting me to this issue." She says, "So good luck today. I'm sure that I don't think you'll probably need it. I mean, all you're doing is really just touching base with His Majesty and I guess getting the good graces or whatever that's required for your continued travel."
So, was this morning like a test from her patron, or?
No, she says it was not a test. Whatever creatures the creatures you were fighting were sent here by a different force.
He just used that to see our intentions.
Right.
Okay. So there's still a threat.
She says, "Unfortunately, I believe that the threat is growing day by day. There is something about this girl, and we need to be very, very careful. While you're gone, I will try to find out more."
Interesting. We will stay vigilant on our end.
So as she finishes up, you hear Alistair shout down the hallway, "I'm sorry, but we need to be going. We are definitely going to be pushing it for time."
All right, with haste.
Okay. So you all bid Lunara a farewell, and you all head out the door, running by your rooms very quickly to pick up whatever weapons or small things that you plan on taking with. And you make your way to the front door of Manclaw Manor. When you walk out, you see that indeed one of the carts with all of the items that are supposed to go to the king, is waiting. And you see a very ornate horse-drawn carriage actual covered carriage with glass windows, and you see the footman is there to and has the door open as you all are helped into the carriage.
Riding in style.
So yeah, when you get up inside of this thing, it's not like ones that you've traveled in before, which were just a hard wooden bench facing another hard wooden bench, so you're facing each other. This one it has like a light carpeting on the bottom, not like a plush carpeting, but like maybe a Berber or something like that. You know, hey, like I'm not really too sure what my carpets are like, but and you notice that the seats are upholstered, so it's a comfortable ride. It's not like you're bouncing around on a hard piece of wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, some cushion for the tushes, I suppose. All right, and as soon as you all get in, the footman closes the door. Alistair is sitting there staring across from you and says, well, once again, I hope that this will turn out fruitful for all of us, actually. I have a question myself of the king concerning you three and Mistress Lunara. So let us be gone. And he bangs the top of the carriage, and you're off. And you're speeding along down the cobblestone streets off of the property. You end up going, entering the city once again, and it only doesn't take too long to get to the castle. But as you're going along, you're looking out the windows and seeing the sort of Chindle in mourning, and you get to see what it looks like, and people are bustling and hustling around trying to get things to market or heading off to their labors. Every once in a while you'll see soldiers and other sort of workers and laborers and things of that nature going about their daily lives as you go through this beautiful walled gate and into this magnificent courtyard, which is surrounded by this 30-foot tall wall. And on the interior is a large castle with 4 large towers marking its corners. The footman opens the door for you, and you all jump down from the carriage. And Alistar looks at you and goes around to each one of you and making sure that your shoulders are right and everything, checking everybody out. And he says, all right, I think we look good. I think we're ready. So he says, follow me. And so you all start following him into the large the large doors that enter into this very spacious, gigantic castle. So you walk in, and where it was bright and very sunlit outside, once you walk in, it gets kind of dim pretty quickly, and you can see that there are wall sconces that have, instead of torches, they actually have hanging lanterns. Make a arcane knowledge check, though. For those people who have the arcane knowledge checks.
Nah, I want to go see the king.
I don't want to look at those dang lights.
I don't know what they are. They're cool. They fire.
Yeah. You all don't really pay much attention to them. And just continue along your way. One thing that Athena, you realize something interesting about them is it seems that they are, where like with a lot of lanterns, you would have some smoke. these seem to be of a clean burning variety, something you're not familiar with.
There's no smoke to that fire.
There's no smoke on the water.
Yes. So, you all proceed down this dark hall, dimly lit hallway. And not too far down that hallway, you are met by a half-elven woman who is dressed very similar to Alistar. You see that she is wearing a gold chain of station, which shows that she is a member of the King's Council. So you're thinking she is definitely one of definitely royalty, and probably a very close advisor. Does anybody have nobility?
I think I put the no in
I don't know if
nobility.
they actually have that.
I think it's
they have
knowledge history.
Is it
Yeah.
knowledge history? You can go ahead and do her knowledge history. I don't think there is a nobility, is there? Ooh, Armos, you're killing it. Wow. you guys are...
We just want to talk to the king. We have no idea what we're doing.
We don't care about this person.
got this.
Oh, okay, so Apton.
I read it in one of my books.
Yeah. You picked it up. What you're looking at is you're looking at the actual chancellor of this castle, who is a probably the closest advisor to the king that there is, other than other family. And so she graciously looks upon you and says, good morning. Good morning, Alistair, and how are you today? And they trade some pleasantries. Alistair looks at you and says, Chancellor Zana, these are the three heroes that I had sent you a letter about yesterday. And she looks with a smile on her face and says, "Oh, yes, excellent. Hold on one moment, and I will check and see if he's actually on the throne yet. I believe I did see him earlier this morning." And she turns and walks through a door to the right. Alistar looks and says, "Whew, okay, that's good. That's good. At least he's up and around." And sometimes it can get a little dicey, especially if there's been carousing the night before. Don't want that to get out. So a couple of minutes pass, probably about 2. Doesn't take long at all. And Chancellor Zana walks back in, and she looks at you and says, "Okay, he's ready. There are other courtiers on the floor, so you may have to wait just a few moments, but he is definitely expecting you. And once he sees you, Alistar, he'll probably go ahead and get the day's business started." So she greets each of you, and she is, like I said, she's wearing the finery, and she also has long silk gloves that cover both of her hands all the way up to her elbows. And
I want to ask her, how do we address you formally, my lady?
And she said, "You can just call me Lady Zana. That is fine."
Lady Zana.
Lady Zana Portilla. And she says, "So in we go." And she walks over. She opens a door, and on the other side of the door, you see another hallway. And at the end of the hallway is a double door, and there are 2 guards standing in front of the double door. And she says, "Follow me." As you all proceed down the hallway, you see more of those lights, and you end up getting to the door. And just as you were about ready to step probably within 10 feet of the door. You see Lady Zana move her hand like so. The guards immediately open the door, so you all actually do not stop in the hallway at all. You all are just whisked right into a magnificent throne room. It's very large. It is probably 40 by 40 feet, just the where the courtiers are. Beyond that is the actual throne, which sits on another 20 foot by 20 foot dais area. Overhead is stained glass, which allows an immense amount of multicolored light to spill upon the floor. There are tapestries on all of the walls. And if you roll a history check again.
I want to know.
All right. Yeah. As you all are looking at these tapestries, very good. No, that's good. As you're looking at the tapestries, you realize they tell a story, like most tapestries do. And this is the long history of the monarchy here in Furiondi. And they're very well kept. At the throne, you see a gentleman, what you kind of guess to be in his mid to late 40s, sits upon the throne. He is dressed well, but it looks as though he may have decided not to put on appropriate shoes. Because he's decided not to wear shoes at all. So you're standing in front of this man who is wiggling his toes like so. And he's got this big smile on his face because you're thinking to yourself, is this a trap? You know, like if we notice him wiggling his toes, you know, is that a break with protocol, or is it a sign? And behind you, you hear Alistar kind of give like a quick catch in his breath, and you're thinking, uh-oh, that didn't sound good. Why would he do that? That doesn't make sense. So you are now standing before King Belvor IV of Furiondi, and he just looks down at you for a brief moment with that same smile, and Alistar steps around to interpose himself between you and the king. He bows low, and he asks, and he looks back to you to follow suit.
I will bow.
Very good.
Wearing a dress, right?
Yes, you are wearing an actual dress.
Okay, then I'll curtsy.
Okay, very good. So yes, you all do this at about the same time, and it looks actually pretty professional. And you see that Alistair, looking back at you, kind of gives you kind of a knowing nod and wink. And the king gets to his feet and says, cousin Alistair, welcome back. Welcome back. And he actually comes down from the dais and gives his cousin a hug. You see other people are kind of looking around and watching all of this, and you make a perception check.
I'm going to be giving Alistair side eye for not telling us that he's cousins with the king.
Okay, so Armos and Apton, as you all are looking around, kind of watching, seeing how other people react, you see some people have smiles, pleasant, but you do see that there are a couple of people here who kind of roll their eyes and maybe even hear a snort of derision. But it is lost on Alistar and the king. So they break their embrace, and Alistar says, Your Majesty, I would like to present to you the emissaries from Greyhawk. And he, as he says so, he looks up and he waves behind you, sort of like this, and you see the Teamsters have brought in the items that you brought with you from Greyhawk. And Alistar says, Your Majesty, this is Cleric Apton Philip Mullins, a very brave and noble man of the cloth. And the king sort of, he just looks you over and he says, Oh, very nice to meet you. And you're a mouse folk, am I correct?
Yes, Your Majesty.
He says, Well, I will say that you're not the first one I've met. I'm trying to remember, where was that chap that I met? Wasn't here in Chindle. I think I was traveling, and I actually came upon one of your fellow your fellow members. Nice enough fellow. Said, well, it's nice to meet you. Alistar looks next to Athena and said, Your Majesty, this is Athena Grey, a woman of arms and a most capable hero. The king looks at you and says, it is a great privilege to make your acquaintance as well, miss. And then finally he turns to you, Armos, and he says, and this is Armos Zarnan. And Armos is a man of arcane knowledge and has recently, from what I've been told, has picked up a musical talent. I almost kind of blame my daughter for this for this interest that has sparked within him. And the king looks and he says, it is nice to meet another man who doesn't have a problem hitting the books and searching for the deeper mysteries of the cosmos. You will have to check out our observatory in the northwest tower before you leave. I think you should see what we have come up with. So the king turns and walks back to the throne and takes a seat. He looks at you three and says, So, what is it that you have brought me from Greyhawk?
I will step a little bit closer, not crossing the flagstone, and say, Hail to you, Majesty, blessings from Cord and Hor. We bring correspondences and gifts from the south, as well as a personal gift of fine wine from we, your emissaries.
At the mention of the wine, he perks up and looks over at Alistar and he said, Alistar, did you know of this wine gift? And Alistar looks and says, No, Your Majesty, I wasn't really quite aware of what they had brought with them. I just knew that they were on a diplomatic mission. And you can see the king is very pleased with this information. And he says, yes, it's always good to get wine from the south. And
it's a nice Arbor Gold.
He says, is there
Game of Thrones joke.
Anything else?
I pull out from my satchel, I bring out any sort of documents and tales of our travels, if those will pique your interest.
The chamberlain or the chancellor walks in and takes the documents from you and walks them up the dais to the king, and he just kind of gives them a cursory glance and says, "Oh, yes, very, very nice. Anything else?"
Somebody's a little needy. Um,
Cleric Captain, I was told that there was a chest with some interesting items within. Is
oh
that
yeah, that
chest
was
not?
yes, sir, it is. Or yes, Your Majesty, it is. That was part of the gifts from the south.
Ah, so Alistar has the Teamsters bring forth the chest that was in the back of this cart the entire time. And I believe you have the key because the key was part of the items that you had retrieved off of Henry's unfortunate corpse.
I will present the key to the Chancellor
She
and
she takes the key from you
reassure
and
them that it was.
that it's not trapped or it's not
Well,
a,
that we did not open it, so we're unaware of what is inside.
okay. So she actually hands the key off to a guard and has the guard open the box. And he opens the box without any incident, no poison needles or anything like that, and opens it up. Inside is there are some items. There's gold bars on the bottom. There is some very fine silks, a robe. But one thing that really piques his interest is a small container, a box, probably about this big. And inside of it is, as the Chancellor opens it up, he actually smells it, and he went, "Oh my, this is way too much. Oh my gosh, it's so rich, such a wonderful
Wisnik weed.
Switch over." No, it's actually a type. From what you're kind of looking, and you're kind of you catch a whiff of this. It is so aromatic that you immediately recognize it as it's called night jasmine incense. But it does not come from a jasmine plant. They just call it that because of its similarities, but it has such a more pungent odor. And it's used primarily in religious practices. So immediately, once you catch a whiff, you realize what you've just handed him was probably worth more than all of the gold in that box.
Nice.
Because it is so rare.
Way to show up my wine gift.
Well, you didn't know what was in the box.
Had I known, we probably wouldn't be here right now. We'd own an island somewhere.
Not if I sold it.
Screw all of these people.
Yeah.
That's
If you sold it,
that is hilarious.
you'd have a couple coppers to our name.
10 gold pieces? Yeah, it smells like a flower. Sure, here you go.
Yeah. You guys would have just sold it to the first person who came along. Like, some sort of junk. Who knows what it is? Alrighty, so yes. So the king says, "Now this is a magnificent gift." And he says, "So, Alistar, you said that you had sent a message to the Chancellor concerning an issue with something concerning your friends here." And Alistar said, yes, Your Majesty. I was hoping I was going to get a chance to maybe talk to you about this privately. And the king says, "Unfortunately, I do not have time for such things. You know that, Alistar. It's very busy here. Of course, you know that we're in the middle of a war. I know you have to get back to the front eventually. Tell me, what is it that you need?" And he said, "Your Majesty, I have land and a keep to the north of Chindle, which is unused at this point in time. I would like to grant the deed to that parcel of land and that keep to my friends here. And the king looks at him and says, "Ah, I see exactly what you mean. I understand." And you hear kind of from behind Alistar, often one of the courtiers behind him, and he says, you hear, "I'm sorry, Your Majesty, but I believe that keep and land actually is supposed to fall to my family next month." And you turn and you see this kind of a weaselly looking individual standing there next to an equally weaselly looking woman, dressed, of course, in their finery. Alistar just kind of turns and looks at both of them and pleads his case before the king and says, "Your Majesty, yes, I do know that land was supposed to be turned over to the Hopkins, but I feel that in light of the situation that has occurred, I would like for you to reconsider." And immediately a hush comes over the room. And you see that the weaselly looking woman has shifted one of her hands to one of her pockets. You see the guards stiffen a little bit, and it's like the air goes out of the room. Alistar says, the king speaks up again. The king speaks up at this time, and he says, "Oh, I see. All right. Alistar, can you tell me specifically why these three should be granted such title of knighthood? What have they done in the service of Furiandi?" And Alistar produces a parchment, and he hands it to Chancellor Zana, and she hands it to the king, and he looks at it, and his eyes go wide for a brief moment, and he says, "Alistar, what you've written here, is this true? This is the first I've heard of this attack on Bardock." He looks over at he looks at the Chancellor, and she says, "Your Majesty, this is the first I've heard of it as well." And you can see that there is, like I said, the hush has gotten even more. It's like if silence could be solid, you all would be, I guess, sort of standing in the middle of a gelatinous cube. That's how thick, that's how deep this silence is that is now transpiring. And he continues to read, and he says, "Oh, Alistar, please tell me, were they able to save your daughter?" And Alistar says, "Well, actually, yes, Your Majesty. If it had not been for the valiant attempt of these three and one other." And the king looks and says, "One other? Who is this other?" And he says, "Unfortunately, I did not have suitable accoutrements for her today." He says, and the king says, "Oh, okay, I see. So you shall bring her by later, I suppose." And he said, "Yes, Your Majesty, I shall." And he says, "Well, then so be it. This is definite, significant amount of proof, evidence." And Alistar steps back behind you as the king looks over to the Chancellor and says, Zara, if you do not mind, will you please bring my sword? And so she rushes off to the side there and pulls a scabbard with a sword in it. She does not unsheathe the sword, but hands the sword and scabbard to the king. And he at this time unsheathes the sword and hands the scabbard to her, and she steps back. And he says, Cleric Captain, will you please step forward, pass the flagstone, and take a knee?
I move forward and do as such.
He steps forward, taking the flat of the sword and placing it upon your left shoulder. He places it upon the left, and then the right, and then the left again. And he says, with the power that I have in this wonderful and righteous kingdom, I pronounce that you, Cleric Captain Philip Mullins, a knight in my service, you may rise.
I will stand up and do a slight bow as I return to my place.
All right. He says, Miss Athena Gray, will you please step forward beyond the flagstone and take a knee?
I will step forward and do as he requested.
Okay. And he lays the flat of the sword upon your left shoulder, the left, the right, the left, and he again says, yes, with the power given to me by this wonderful and righteous kingdom, I now pronounce you Lady Athena Gray.
I stand up, give a little curtsy, and return to my position.
Right. And lastly, he looks and says, Mr. Armos Zarnon, will you please take a step forward beyond the flagstone and take a knee?
I will step forward and take a knee.
And he places the sword, the flight of the sword on your left shoulder and left, right, left, and says, by the power given to me by this mighty and righteous kingdom, I now pronounce you Sir Armos Zarnon.
And I will stand and bow and say, Your Majesty, it is an honor. And I will return back to the place.
Okay. He immediately hands the sword off to the Chancellor, who returns it to its scabbard. And she holds it. And he looks past you, the king looks past you to the weaselly-looking man and woman behind you. And he says, and as customary, when someone becomes a knight in my kingdom, they are given lands and property. And so I am not one to go against tradition, as he sort of laughs a little bit and looks at his feet. He says, he looks at Alistair and says, the lands that you propose and the keep that you have maintained is now given as gift by this kingdom to Sir Apton Mullins, Lady Athena Gray, and Sir Armos. You hear the weaselly-looking couple. They're actually upset by this turn of events, and they adjourn themselves from court. You see a very pleased-looking Alistair at this point. So the king again addresses you and says, thank you so much for your wonderful gifts. This will definitely help renew our efforts to help reclaim Lady Hilla Kaunis. That's the the lady who was actually captured by the barbarians. If you remember at the beginning of our adventure, that was why you were coming up here, was to help strike a deal with the barbarian kings for the return of a royal woman who was from Greyhawk. Did you guys forget that?
Yeah, that was that's why I wanted to recap from the note taker. That seemed to forget half the things that we had. Yeah, details.
Yeah, you guys have actually you almost kind of forgotten what you were doing. That's okay. It's cool. It happens.
I wanted to recap from the cleric over there, but
yeah. Okay.
Then he's like, "Is there anything else?" And he's like,
I did say gifts from the south, which was including all the stuff coming from the south. So there was a miscommunication between me and El Kingo over here.
Okay.
Okay, so you all
maybe if he had socks and shoes on.
You all kind of get you kind of get the feeling that you are now have been kind of dismissed, and it becomes even more apparent when you look over at the chancellor, and she sort of gives you that look that get the hell out. But it's not as, she has a smile. It's not like she's being rude or anything. She is just letting you know that your time with the king has come to a close. Alistar walks off with you and he says, excellent. You all did follow protocol to a fault. It was wonderful. Excellent. He says, and I know that may have been a little bit of short notice and a little bit of a surprise to you. I am very sorry. And then he reaches into one of his pockets and he brings out a large skeleton key. And he hands that skeleton key to you, Apton, and he says, this key right here will get you through the front door of your new keep. Now,
you must fight to defend it.
Now, mind you, it has not been lived in over 150 years. So I do not know what to tell you or what condition it's in when you get there. The land is 20 acres. It has not been worked, which means that there has not been anyone actually taking care of the property for some time. So I do not know what you're going to find once you get there.
I look at him and say, we do appreciate this, but one question I need to have answered before we truly accept this is, what is the story behind the people who are intended to get this?
Ah, yes, the Hopkins. They are... I hate to say it, they're actually kind of like distant cousins, and we have had a family rivalry for probably close to about 4 or 5 generations. They have been trying to get that land from my family for probably close to 100 years. And we have been able to hold on to it through a succession of marriages and births. So that is how we've been able to keep it. And I thought that this was the perfect time. I do not need the land or do want it. I do not have enough peasants at this point in time to work the land. I don't expect you all to immediately put it to good use, but I was thinking in the future you may want to use it as a base for maybe future use.
Well, if that is the only story behind it, in which you're just sticking it to some cousins, then we gladly and greatly appreciate the gift of the knighthood and the land.
It says, the reason you had to have the knighthood was because you cannot own land in Furiondi without being titled. Yeah. So, surprise.
Would you say we have nothing to fear from your rivalry?
Well, I can't really say. They would never strike against family. Unfortunately, you are not family, so I'm not really too sure how they would react to you.
Hmm. Okay. Good to know.
He says, yeah. So he says, well, if you would like, you now that you are actually landed gentry, you can now participate in court anytime that you wish. If you would like to return home, we can go ahead and do that now. Home, I mean my home, of course. And I can set up having you inspect your new area maybe tomorrow.
Uh,
What time is it now?
By the time you get done with the king and all of this, you're getting closer to noon.
Because we do need to see the what the hell is his name? The is it Darren Moss?
You do need to see Darren Moss, who is
And
he's the bishop of Cord. Am I right? That's what it sounds like to me.
no, that's Father Maris Pitch.
Oh, that's Mayor's Pitch. Okay, so Darren.
I think Darren Moss is the general store keeper where we have the book for him.
Yes, that is right. That's right. You need to see Darren Moss. Okay, so Alistar says, "Okay, well, what we can do is this. I can leave the my carriage in your care and at your disposal. I shall take a horse from the royal stable and return home. So take as much time as you need, and I will make the arrangements for tomorrow for you to visit the keep." He said, if you need help finding locations within Chindle, if you find a guard or someone who looks official, just, oh, as a matter of fact, you need these. And just as he looks up and you see Chancellor Zana coming down the hallway towards you all. And in her arms, she is carrying three hooded capes, long capes. And she comes to Alistar and she says, "Oh, I'm glad I caught you. I was almost for sure you had left." And Alistar helps her, with a set. And he looks at the robes and says, "Ah, perfect." And he hands you a robe, Apton, and he hands you a robe, Athena, and also one for Armos. And
They make it in my size.
yes, they do. And but at the moment that they hand it to you, it does not look like it would fit you. But as soon as you put it around your shoulders, it magically fits you perfectly. And
Like the shoes from Back to the Future.
yeah, and so you look at him, and on the left breast panel of the cloak is the royal seal of Furiondi. And he says, if you're wearing your cloak, all you have to do is ask any person out there for aid, and they are, as long as it is lawful, they are obliged to give it. And he says, so here you go. And also a nice little bonus to this, these cloaks add +1 to armor class. They are magical.
Whoa, whoa.
Let me know how you put that into D&D Beyond.
Oh,
I'll show you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not an up button on the thing, and I'm like, oh.
Okay. So he bids you all a good rest of the day, and you now find yourself outside in the courtyard, sort of looking at the walls of the keep, or of the castle. So what are you going to do?
I'm going to look at Athena and Armos and say, I do have, excuse me, I do have to go by the Temple of Cord, but I also know we need to go by the general store to drop off these documents. Shall we go to the main area and investigate and look around, or did you guys have other things you needed to do of a more priority?
No,
Well, all
I'll
my
join you.
crystals are shattered, so I don't need to go get anything else to make more daggers.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I'll follow you around because you're the currency man. So
right.
I'm holding on to the documents.
Cool. Okay. So you all start making your way out the main gate, past the guards, and now you are on the street out in front of the castle's courtyard. And like I said, it's getting closer to the noon lunch hour, and you see people coming and going and doing all those sort of things, and you see people taking their lunches in parks that you pass, or on tables that are sitting across from taverns and inns. You finally find yourself in the temple section of the city, and you easily find the Temple of Cord. Athena, I need you to make a wisdom check. So it'd just be like
Just wisdom?
Yep, just a wisdom check.
Is it
Just take
wisdom
a weird-
saving?
Kinda, yeah. You could do that.
It's the same thing.
I think it's the same thing in 5.
Okay. So yeah, all right. So you're walking and you're sort of just taking in what's going on and checking out the city when you hear a voice in your head, and it says, Athena, can you hear me, Athena?
Mike check.
Yes.
Okay, so do you say it out loud or do you say it in your head?
I think I'll think it.
Okay, very good. So you think it, and immediately, as soon as you think it, you hear the voice say, "Oh, finally! Oh my gosh! Where am I? Where am I? I can't see." And it's the voice of Helenta. So you all proceed into the Temple of Cord, and there, standing in front of the congregation, is a priest. And off to the side, you see an elderly gentleman who has the mitre cap and the crow's ear of a bishop. And immediately you think that has to be Bishop Pitch. They're just closing. They are just closing with their final message, and you wait reverently in the back.
Is this the place that has all of the other crystals with it?
No.
No.
No. That was no. That was in
That was in Bardup. That was a temple of
Marduk.
Pelor. Yeah. So yeah, once most of the parishioners are out, you see kind of a break in the crowd, and you can now approach the bishop.
I will tell them if they want to wait here. I just have to speak with him, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll proceed up to him,
And
and
document out.
I will pull the document out that was given to me by Cleric Jonathan Swift, and present it to him, and say, I bring this message from Cleric Jonathan Swift in hopes of atonement.
He looks upon it and he says, "Oh, I see. It looks like you've had a bit of a problem. I will need to speak with you in my office, my son." So he takes you back beyond the altar to a room. It's a very nice room. You see that there is an acolyte in there who's cleaning up a little bit, and the bishop motions for you to take a seat. He says, "Reginald, will you please be a lamb and get some wine?" And you see the young acolyte immediately turn and walk over to a cabinet and produce a decanter of wine, and brings it back over with two glasses. And he says, he looks, Maris looks at you and says, "Oh, okay, Father Apton, do you drink wine?"
I tend to avoid it.
"Oh, I wish I could." And so he pours some into a small wine glass, and he offers you some as well. And he says, "Yes, what you did is unfortunately not is frowned upon quite heavily. And I fear, by looking upon you and looking at your aura, that your actions may have spawned something that you may not realize. Are you familiar with the Revenant?"
Not as much as I would like to be.
He says, "Well, when someone is slain in a manner, a very heinous manner, it may the creature or the person that you slain may actually retain an undead life and seek revenge upon its slayer. I have a feeling that you, sir, may be hunted."
Well, that's a bit of information that comes a little bit in line with what occurred.
I see. Then you may have already come into contact with this creature?
No, just the body disappeared, so I assume that might be as to why it vanished.
Yes, yes. He takes a sip of his wine, and he says, "So I can absolve you of your grievous sin, but you will have to take into account the undead creature that may be stalking you even as we speak."
Well, that will have to be part of my atonement, I suppose, is bringing that corpse to rest in a more dignified way.
Exactly. Once you find this creature, or most likely it will find you, you must dispatch of it. You must be the one who delivers the killing blow, and make sure that it is laid to rest properly, given all the rights the dead deserve.
I tell him thank you. And I also believe Jonathan Swift gave me a tome to give him, or some sort of documentation.
Yes, yes. He says, I have been waiting for the return of this book for some time. I thought that maybe it had been lost, but it's good that Swift was able to find such an able-bodied person to return it to me forthwith. So thank you, Clara Captain.
It's like, excuse me, sir. It's Sir Clara Captain. No.
It's ma'am.
I will bow and tell him. I will bow and say, I look forward to seeing you more now that we do have lands in the area, and hopefully we can enjoy these blessings of Cord together.
Says, I hope so as well. I would love to see you standing up here in front of our congregation and giving a speech about the strengths and what is needed to help those in this land through Cord's abilities. So, you have a good afternoon, and good luck to you on your atonement.
Thank you. And I'll bow and walk out the door and
Okay.
look to Armos and Athena and say, let's get to going.
Okay.
Before that, though, when they go into the back room,
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna take Armos like out into like a where nobody's around.
Okay, so you kind of just step back into an alcove
Not
or
you
something?
too.
Just me, you said?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm gonna say something's up with those crystals because I just heard Helenta's voice in my head. Those souls are still alive.
Come and say what?
Yeah, that's what I said too. Something's up
Helenta,
with
and
the
you're sure it was Helenta? Without
It's
a
her-
shadow of a doubt.
It's her voice.
What did she say?
She doesn't know where she's at. I guess she's been trying to get a hold of. I guess she's been trying to get a hold of us or something. Because when I finally responded, she was like, "Oh, finally, you know." And then she's like, "Where am I?" So she doesn't know where she's at. She doesn't know what happened, but she's alive somewhere.
How recently did this happen?
When we walked in,
Well, there's only 2 crystals left that are intact.
no, because we picked up the crystals that didn't have the souls in them. He has the one that the soul was taken back out of, and I have one that the soul was never in.
So where is the soul now?
All the ones that had the souls in them were taken by that priest in the town, the other priest in the town.
And it contacted you this far away?
Unless you snuck a crystal somewhere and I don't know about it, yeah.
So there's 2 daggers, the crystals we gave away, and crystal powder. Those are 3 locations that her soul can be.
No, but the crystal powder was from crystals that never had souls in them.
Right. What I'm saying is the soul is somewhere. It has to be held by something.
You think they can go to different crystals?
Maybe. Let me see your dagger.
I'll hand it to him.
Okay. You hand it to him. Armos, I need you to make a will save.
Great. What is will?
I said I hand it to him, not throw it at him.
Yeah, will save is an attack on the mind.
Wisdom.
Is that wisdom?
Yep.
Oh, that's
Oh,
fine.
gee. Okay, so immediately as soon as she hands you this dagger, it flashes a blue light, and you hear in your head, you hear Halenta's voice saying, who is this? You're not Athena. Where's Athena? Hand me
Okay,
back to Athena.
I just got goosebumps in real life, and my character just got goosebumps. I'm gonna look at her and verbally say, "Halenta's in this crystal. She's right here. She just spoke to me."
Okay, so at least I know I'm not going nuts.
Okay, so I'm gonna reply and think back. My name is Armos. We're gonna get you the help that you need.
Okay, you hear her say, Armos, oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Okay, is Athena okay? You have her. Where is she? Is she near?
I'll reply. Yes, we're both here. We're all here. We're in Chindle. We're gonna get you the help that you need. And I'm gonna say to her, we need to go to some magic place and ask for some advice here. If not, we need to find General Alistair. This is his daughter,
No, it's not.
or
Oh.
It's
Halenta.
Halenta.
Oh,
Zathia was the daughter.
Yeah, Zathia was the daughter.
Alenta's the girlfriend,
Promised
wife,
Stephen.
fiance to.
But she was
Stephen,
royalty,
yeah.
right?
No.
No, she was the caretaker. Or no, she was isn't she the sister of their mother?
No, she's the niece
The niece
of Millicent Manclaw.
of the
I
mother.
need you to make
Look,
a
Brown, we need you to make a family tree here, okay?
Okay.
It's getting a little
All right.
complicated.
Well, so I'm gonna
Getting
think
complicated.
and try to reply to the crystal. Is there a place that you think is best in Chendal that we take you to help you the best we can?
She says, no, I don't know where I'm at. I can't see anything.
Do you know Chendal very well?
Yes, I was born and raised here, but with, I guess.
Is there a name of someone or a place?
I don't know how I'm able to talk to you. This doesn't make any sense to me.
For now, it's a telepathic link of the person that's holding the crystal that you're inside of.
She's.
Tell her she's inside of a crystal.
I'm in a crystal. How did I end up in a crystal? That doesn't make any sense.
few too many shots.
A few too many
Where's-
shots of tequila.
Where's my body at? Where? You can hear that she's becoming upset, and as she does so, you can see that the light inside of this crystal keeps flashing this brilliant bluish color. It's not like the blue color that you saw the night before, when it shined that black light color. No, this is like a blue flashing, like a bright white, bluish white light.
Right. Well, I guess I'll tell her the best I can that she was under attack and that her soul is now in.
Where's your
in a
persuasiveness, your calmingness? Like, don't you have that?
I don't know. Would that? I don't know if that's diplomacy, deception. I'd have to lie to her. How do you lie to her and whatever? What do you
Okay,
want
I'll
me to
take
tell her
the
then?
I'll take the dagger from him and try and think. Halenta, can you hear me?
She immediately answers, "Yes, Athena. So, I don't know what to tell you. I guess I'm trapped here in this crystal.
Okay, we're gonna figure out how to get you out. We're making the crystal change colors. You can calm down now.
Okay, yeah, you can see that the intensity of the light is not as bad as it was just a few moments ago when it looked like it was a like a light bar on a cop car going off. So it was, she was, yeah, it was. You've been able to calm her down a little bit. So
Okay. Well, so I don't know. Wait, we need to go visit a magic place. Should we tell Apton about this?
So as you all are, you've
We'll
got
tell him when he gets back out of the
yeah,
thing.
yeah. You were able to calm her down to a point where the crystal is no longer flashing, and just as that occurs, Apton walks out and walks over to you.
Okay. So I'll ask her again. Do we tell Apton here?
Sure. He probably knows more about magic than I do.
Okay. Are we in a private area or is it still pretty public here amongst the
Well,
building we're in?
like I said, you all stepped into like an alcove,
Yeah.
Okay.
so it's
I made
pretty
sure that we weren't
private.
going to freak people out if they heard me saying that I was hearing voices.
Okay, then I'll explain to Cleric Apton. I don't know how, but Halinta's trapped in the crystal that she has.
She's alive. We need to find her a body. Oh, we
She's
can ask.
here.
We can ask. Lenara. She might
Maybe.
know
Yep, that could be
how
a
to
first
get a
stop.
body.
I'm going to look at him and say, maybe we should take this to a deity of Palor and see if he can manage anything, or if any of his clerics there would have a better idea.
Well, do you want to, Brian? Do you want to make us do knowledge arcana or knowledge religion to see where we start with this?
It'd probably be more of a. You could do a knowledge arcana. That would be fine because you're okay. You're kind of thinking that this is very familiar to. I think it's called like a magic jar or something where they trap a soul inside of. Yeah, unfortunately, you guys are not rolling high enough to really.
What? I just
Come up
want to
with-
know like what kind
No
of magic it is and where to start.
You're thinking it's definitely necromantic magics.
Mm-hmm.
Almost very similar. Go ahead and roll a religion check for those people who have that ability. Okay, so Armos, you did good.
Totally did that.
Okay, great. Okay, so wow, actually all three of you did very, very well. And so you're standing there thinking a little bit about it, and then all three of you say at the same time, phylactery.
Phylactery. Let's
Phylactery.
start there.
Okay, and as you well know, a phylactery is used by a lich to collect souls of those it has slain. The more souls it has, the more powerful it becomes.
Well, we want to get this soul out, so let's see if we can do anything about that.
Okay, very cool.
You think that they would help us get it out instead of trying to collect it?
What do you mean? Oh, well,
Well,
I wouldn't start
no.
with a lich. They're evil in nature. You go to the opposite of that. So if Lunar is the answer to that, then that's witch
Well,
magic.
Well, she does know the power of resurrection. I just suggested Palor because I'm sure they've had many of circumstances of dealing with something like this. But we can try her first and see if she has anything she thinks she can manage with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so you all decide to go ahead and was there any other place you needed to go in town, or did you all want to return quickly back to
We need to
Manclaw
return
Manor?
papers that I have from the gnome.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So you need to go to, was that Darren Moss?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the name of his place was, but I don't think I wrote that part
I think
down.
it was like curiosities and maps and things of that nature. I think curious curiosities.
The
Not sure.
the Keebler tree.
I can go with that.
Keebler tree.
Wasn't it the guy's brother?
Mm-hmm.
The Rago's
Mhm.
brother?
Yeah. Well, I think that this is probably a good enough place to stop for the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you guys think?
Sounds good. Should be fucked up. But we're king, we're sirs now, and ladies, and
Well, I had
I'm
picked up
officially a
on it
lady.
earlier when you said that her dagger was glowing slightly. She didn't pick up on it, but then when you finally when she decided to pull me, my character pieced it together. But I knew as soon as you said, "Oh, Cleric Captain has this one, but you have this one, and it's glowing slightly," and I'm like, she didn't pick that up at all. It was fun.
Sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, actually, you had been carrying around a soul fragment of Halenta's ever since the explosion.
You accidentally made her into the dagger. Nice.
Getting it in.
bring it in, break that shard.
Oh, shut up. You have a revenant hunting you.
Hold on.
Wait, hold on. Does this mean that when she was making her first set of daggers and she messed up and she broke it, she shattered somebody's soul?
She may have.
No, but we picked up the ones that
You're a monster.
You're the
we
one
picked
that
up the
shattered
ones
a
that
84
were
of them.
not glowing that color with the soul in them.
We were trying to go for the empty ones there, Brian.
Right. Well, you were able to find a lot of empty ones, but then there were also some that were just so slight that you could not tell the difference.
She was being quiet.
Well, it took her a long time to be able to gather enough energy. And the energy that she needed was when it was activated by the evil the night before. Notice
okay.
notice all that power that was flowing to the daggers the night before. That gave her enough to be able to reach out to you.
Nice.
So then you
Nice.
and shattered all the other souls that were in the bag.
I didn't.
The energy.
I didn't bring them. You did.
And you're like, oh, she's alive in there. Like, what's the definition of alive now? She's conscious.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
thank you, Anna B. Meyer, for your maps
Yes.
that are so
let's-
fantastic
yeah,
to use.
Yeah. Once again, yeah. Thanks to Anna for all of her wonderful maps. It seems that the Discord worked okay for the most part.
Yeah.
I know that we had a little bit of echo. I think between Shane and Christy there for a couple of times, but I think maybe that's probably because of microphones.
We have an idea to fix that.
Okay.
But we're gonna have to have time to we just came up with the idea right when we were going live. So we're like, oh no, wait, we gotta set it up.
Well,
That's
if
cool.
you were in different rooms, then you could have different mics. But yeah,
Yeah,
we'll figure
that's
that
okay.
out.
No, we'll figure it out. And I have to definitely say that here we are at episode 14, and we've gotten so much better at this. I'd like to pat myself on the back, and also pat you all on the back, or
Yeah.
on the head, or whatever y'all like. It's been a growing and learning experience, and I'm really glad that we've been able to do it, and it's pretty cool. It's
Technologic.
yeah. I dreamt about doing this for a long time, and I've always been interested in streaming, but I had no idea how to do it. So this was kind of like my kicking off point, and I thought, well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take some people down with me. Oh man. Alrighty. Well, you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you on Sunday. We're gonna get
Thanks
back.
to all the viewers.
Yes, thank you all of the folks in chat. And if you are catching us on YouTube, make sure that if you like what you see, make sure to smash that like button so that people will, I guess, start taking notice of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And comment.
Smash it
suggestions.
like a crystal.
Yeah, smash it like a crystal. One without a soul in it. Let's not smash those ones with souls in it. That's a bad spot. Okay.
Smash now, think later.
Right.
We don't care.
That's right. Yeah, make sure if you have a chance, leave us a little message in the comments. And I know that we will probably get back to them pretty quickly because I know I check the comments every day, at least 2 or 3 times because I'm kind of anal like that. And yeah, because we would definitely love to hear from you. Or if you have an idea for the show, because it's a show, let us know.
Join our Discord.
Yes, join our Discord and see what other crazy stuff happens in that. Alrighty, folks. Well, y'all have a good weekend, and I will see you all laters.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye. This episode was sponsored by the Thoughts.